Hello, Clemson Nation. This is Patrick Driscoll, and welcome to On the Prowl. Man, I am excited to share with you what we have lined up for this weekend because it sure is an eventful one. Firstly, let's give men's soccer a shout out on the last couple games as they became the lowest seed to ever make an ACC final for soccer. Moral of the story is, do not count these kids out. To tip our hat off to them, let's start the Clemson rundown with Clemson United. Fresh off of knocking off the number 1 seed, also did I mention previously undefeated Duke Blue Devils at their place, the Tigers had another challenge on their hands. Back on the road at Wake Forest, it was deja vu all over again, with senior grad transfer Derek Waleef and junior Brandon Parrish finding the back of the net against the Demon Deacons. It was Parrish who cashed in first for Clemson, with another worldie to give the Tigers an early lead. The kid cannot be stopped right now. Did I also mention the back line held Wake Forest to 0 shots in the first half? Coming out of halftime with a 1-0 lead, Clemson kept up the pressure and was rewarded with a second goal off the volley from Derek Waleef. Once again, we cannot forget to shout out freshman goalkeeper Joseph Andima and his back line as they earned their 8th clean sheet of the season. The stage is now set for the Tigers to earn some ACC hardware as they look to complete their historic run with a matchup versus the number 2 seed Syracuse Orange. The game will be played at noon at WakeMed Park in Cary, North Carolina, and it will also be televised on ESPNU if you can't make it. Go get 'em, Tigers. Let's give you an update on the women's side now. The streak continues as the women have now made the NCAA tournament 9 times in a row. Clemson has earned a number 5 seed and will be hosting the Vanderbilt Commodores Friday afternoon at historic Riggs come 3 o'clock. I am sure the women are itching to get on the pitch, as the last time they were in action was October 27th against Pitt. The Tigers are looking to make a run as they did 2 years ago when they reached their 5th Elite 8 in program history. This matchup will be the 5th time Vanderbilt and Clemson have been slated to play each other, as Clemson is undefeated in the series. The Tigers look forward to keep that trend going at Riggs Friday and start their national championship run. The postseason continues to heat up for Clemson athletics, as the men and women's cross-country side is set to race at regionals this Friday in Louisville, Kentucky. What is unique about this race is that the Tigers have already raced the Tom Sawyer Park course this past month, as they will look to use that to their advantage come Friday morning. What is different, though, is that the men will be bumping up from 8,000 meters to 10,000 meters for the first time this season, and the women will be bumping up from 5,000 meters to 6,000 meters for this time. Fresh off of ACC's 2 weeks ago, head coach Vicky Pounds has been getting both the men and women prepared for the distance change. The men will be ready to roll at 11 a.m. sharp Friday morning, while the women are set to toe the line shortly after at noon. Good luck to both the men and the women. While cross country is in the twilight of their season, both the men and women's basketball teams have just started their campaigns this year for Clemson. Starting with the men, they began on a high note this past Monday night, where they hosted the Citadel at Littlejohn. 4 Tigers were able to score in double-digit figures, with junior redshirt Chase Hunter leading the way with 23 points, and sophomore Ian Shefflin scoring 20 points and grabbing 14 rebounds off the bench. As a whole, Clemson shot 55% as well, as they cruised to a comfortable 80-69 victory. And just like that, it is already time to play the big rival South Carolina for this squad. Friday, once again, does not disappoint for Clemson athletics, as the men will be traveling to Columbia for this one to take on the Gamecocks at 7 o'clock. Just like the men, the women started their season the same day as they matched up against the Gardner-Webb running Bulldogs Monday morning. It was an absolute thrashing as the women took the victory with a score of 81-54. Whew. Freshman Ruby Whitehorn led Clemson in points and rebounds as well with a line of 17-9. The women started off fast with an early 15-0 run in the first quarter and never looked back from there. Defensively, they held Gardner-Webb to 28% from the field. Next up for the Tigers are the Wofford Terriers at Littlejohn. The women's squad is actually playing as we speak, so best of luck to head coach Amanda Butler and the rest of the team. Moving on to volleyball. After what has probably felt like the longest road trip affair for the volleyball team, your Clemson Tigers are finally back at Tigervision this weekend. The women are back from the Sunshine State, where they had matched up against Florida State and Miami this past weekend. The Miami match especially was a thriller, as Clemson narrowly lost in a back-and-forth 5-set battle. The jam-packed November 11th date for Clemson Athletics concludes with the ladies looking to get their revenge against Miami, as they have to enter our house this weekend. I am sure the Tigers will be excited for that matchup to get that bad taste out of their mouths for good. Along with it being alumni weekend for women's volleyball, the women also have another bout this weekend against NC State. They will be taking on the Wolfpack come Sunday at 3 p.m. once again at Tigervision. Let's pack the house this weekend. Lastly, let's conclude with yet another Clemson Tiger football preview. While we really don't need to review what happened last week in South Bend, let's begin with some positive news. Clemson has clinched their 9th consecutive Atlantic Division title in the ACC, which secures our spot in the ACC title game next month. More good news, because seriously, who doesn't like good news? This begins a 3-game home stretch to end the regular season for the Tigers. And lastly, it's Military Appreciation Day for Dab & Co. And you know what that means. You'll see the whole squad clad in purple once again this year. Let's not forget that last year on Military Appreciation Day, Clemson dominated UConn. This year, the squad would love to do the same to bounce back this week to gain some momentum. The Tigers match up versus the Louisville Cardinals at 3:30 at Death Valley this Saturday. Be there. Once again, that covers this week's edition of On the Prowl. My name is Patrick Driscoll, and thank you for tuning in with me. And I'll see you next week.